Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. The Polk County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, February 25th. All commissioners are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up on our agenda is comments for items not on the agenda. Limit to 3 minutes. We encourage all community members to engage with public comments to the Board of Commissioners. However, out of respect for our audience and a general sense of decorum, please refrain from vulgar, threatening, or inappropriate language. Please come forward.
Good morning, Mandy Strauss, 611 Southeast Rosewood Lane, here in Dallas. I just wanted to come and make a clarification on record. On February 4th of this year, 2025, when I came and asked Sheriff Garton and Captain Isham to follow through with the open report at the DPSST regarding the complaint I filed several years ago. I just happened, I would have come sooner, but I looked at this just this last week. The comment, it just said, Mandy Strauss provided public comment requesting that the sheriff's office reopen a couple of cases that have been closed. I just want clarification on record. It's not reopening our cases that were filed here at the Polk County Sheriff's Office. I'm asking Sheriff Garton to complete, or Captain Isham to complete the investigation that is open at the DPSST, not cases opened here. So that's it. Thank you.
Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Okay, hearing none, looking for approval of the agenda.
Also move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Approval of minutes of February 18th.
Move approval. I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. District Attorney Department update. Mr. Felton. Dressed up, you put a tie on for us.
I always put a tie on for you when I'm on the agenda. Sometimes I have not when I come here spontaneously, but I do try to make an effort when I'm on the agenda.
Thank you.
And it is always, I know that time is limited this morning. It is a great privilege to come before the commission to report on the status of the district attorney's office, your district attorney's office, the people of Polk County's district attorney's office. And, in trying to put together what may matter to folks to hear, I think about lots of statistics I could give you and sort of overwhelmed statistics, knowing that from my impression, any number of those statistics could generate a deep dive that could go on and on and on. But I always come to the end of those discussions saying, well, so what? And what does it mean at the end of the day? And and I'm happy to do that on any of these matters, as I know that commissioners know where to find me, my number, if you want to talk deeply about what has happened in terms of numbers of DUIs, homicides, or whatever it may be. But I ultimately think the questions, the values that commissioners have, and I think the folks of our county have, are three. One, am I safer? Are my tax dollars being spent wisely by your agency? And is your agency, is the DA's office currently set up to handle the big issues or crises when they come? And I think about in evaluating that sort of whenever I annually meet with my financial advisor, he'll say to me, don't judge what we're about to talk about based on the headlines. Don't make your investment decisions, whether it's a good year or bad year, based on the headlines. And I sort of say the same thing here, is that you can make a decision about all of these questions based on a headline. And there are lots of headlines about what's going on in the public safety system, whether it's what they refer to as the public defender crises, whether it's an increase in the property retail theft, or it's even what people see far too often and not as much anymore, but what's happening in the Portland area or parts of our state which aren't even near us, and then conflating that to what is happening in Polk County. So what I try to respond to this in the short amount of time we have is talking about where we are in terms of the decisions that are being made internally in this office through strategic decisions, economic decisions, because so much of what we do comes back down. It's not simply a matter of philosophy, how we enforce the laws, apply the laws, but really at some level economics. And I know we're heading into the budget season now. A lot of the decisions that are going to be made that affects this office are at some level economic and budgetary. But I will give you a basic background of where we are. Currently, we have 8 attorneys. 7 of them are DDAs. I include myself as a working attorney. I carry a caseload, as do all my attorneys. We have, on top of that, we have a total of 23 staff, and that is the prosecution division, that is the legal staff division, legal assistant section. We have an office manager. We have a receptionist for the front office, that all for the front desk area to greet people, direct them. She also does miscellaneous duties. We have child support division. We have a medical examiner division. We have a victim assistant division. We have a discovery division. We have, through, again, strategic decisions, grown our office to where now we are, based on a verbal offer that we made just last week, all our positions are fully filled. And that is a positive thing, because we have been that way for the past, I would say, couple of years. I would say we are the healthiest we have been in terms of being staffed and being able to do the work that we're charged with doing. And what that means is, because when we're fully staffed, we're able to meet the mission that we're required to do. And what that is when we're not fully staffed, when we have had vacancies over a period of time, that means that we're constantly in catch-up mode. Well, we have not been in catch-up mode for some time. It means that we have been able to, whatever backlog we have had, and we've had a backlog in the person crimes area, sexual offenses, for example, we've been able to catch up to that. That's way down. We have things that we have not been able to prioritize, like catching up on death reports. When law enforcement goes to a non-criminal death, for example, they file a report. We have to review those, for example. We've caught up on those. So those administrative things are done, but also we have been able to train our misdemeanor level deputies up so that the things that most affect people on a daily basis, theft crime, property crimes, driving under the influence of intoxicants, we've been able to basically focus on those things so that we are able to meet the demand of our population in a meaningful way. So that we've been able to be effective in the courtroom, not only in the immediate stage, but in the planning stage as well. We've been able to implement policies. For example, folks, when they are caught and brought in on a theft crime, primarily what we do is seek a jail sanction on them. So we've been more effective in terms of implementing that policy and using supervision in a proactive way. We've been able to implement policies so that we don't have a public defender crisis here in Polk County. I believe that's a combination of us having a private public defender system and a combination of internal modifications in our office in collaboration with the courts and public defender system. So the question then is, are our tax dollars being used effectively? I think through strategic decisions in terms of employing and utilizing and recruiting quality people, being able to keep them by competitively moving them up the steps, the salary steps in a competitive manner, we've been able to keep pace with salaries in other counties effectively. So we've been able to retain people in a very competitive environment with other counties around us. So that has been so we have been able to keep people to meet various challenges. I would say challenges like the public defender crisis, we've been able to keep people because people who are more experienced can process cases in a quicker manner. We have never had to go to a do not prosecute system because we've been able to retain our attorneys and train them to be efficient. So that's an effective way we've been using tax dollars wisely in a competitive environment. Even our planning, I even go back to COVID. You know, COVID did a lot of things when we were shut down, but we still took advantage of the challenge that was there. Investments in our case management system, investing in data technology. Even then, we learned to be able to be very flexible and lean in our system so that everyone has laptops in our data system, which translated into our evidence and discovery process, which is one of the most effective in the state and efficient in the state. So that translates into, yes, I think the tax dollars are being used very effectively by strategic investments that were made long ago, meeting challenges in the future. And so that's why I submit that tax dollars are being spent wisely in creating an office system, an administrative system that is able to meet challenges as they come now in terms of the public safety system. And so, yeah, we are, we are currently set up to handle big crises, whether it is a shift in whether it's a shift in the types of crimes that are coming in from the different municipalities or the county, whether it's an uptick, as we've seen now that drugs have been recriminalized, we are seeing a significant uptick in more drug crimes coming in. Well, we're set up to handle that because we have experienced deputies who know how to handle drug crimes, who have prosecuted drug crimes. I mean, one of the issues that's been talked about in the recriminalization, very quick recriminalization of drug crimes is that we lost a generation of experienced law enforcement people when drugs were decriminalized. A lot of the knowledge went away because they just weren't being criminalized. Well, we retained much of the knowledge in our more experienced prosecutors and some of our law enforcement people too. So when that came back into effect, Mr. Wilson, the chief deputy, he handles all of those so that we were able to basically have a system that did prosecute those and was able to prosecute those. So we've seen an uptick in some violent crimes. We have a higher number of right now on the books homicides than we've had before. Doesn't mean it's more dangerous in the county. It just means right now that is happening. Again, statistics are interesting and you have to look at them and say, so what? It just happens right now because we have more open on the books. Just means homicides take longer to close. They can take sometimes up to a year to close, so they'll last longer. It doesn't mean that there's something out there that is more dangerous in Polk County. It just means a type of crime that lasts longer on the books to close. They take longer to go to trial. They take longer to resolve than a standard crime, than a DUI or a theft crime, for example. But we are set up because we've been able to retain and recruit experienced prosecutors. We are able to handle all of those. So that's, again, you've invested and made good strategic decisions financially over the years. I'll close by saying that we're busy. All of our misdemeanor prosecutors carry about at any one time 100 cases at a time. That's consistent. And the reason we've been able to do that is that it's not too many. We train people well so that we decline cases in an appropriate fashion for cases that aren't effective and should be sent back for further work. But then our higher end of prosecutors have about half that, but those are significant measure 11 cases as well. So again, the final leg of the stool is that, yeah, we are set up to handle big crises as they come in because we're flexible, because we have the bandwidth to be flexible for that. So in conclusion, that's a quick summary of where we are. We're healthy right now. Because we're healthy, we're not in catch-up mode. We're not in crisis mode, and we're not in triage mode. So that's a good place for us to currently be right now.
How many cases does your office handle a month on average?
Well, again, that's handle. I know you're trying to get at. I'll answer quickly. You know, we will have our referral numbers are roughly steady, and I can't give you a number. I mean, about that because, for example, we had 17 on Tuesday in custodies. That's unusual, but that was a holiday as well. That was last Tuesday, 17 in custodies was unusual. I think we had 5. So it fluctuates up and down. I'll tell you, in tracking the last 5 months of referrals from all of our partner law enforcement agencies, it has remained consistent. And I can't say so many from one agency because you're going to get a lot more from the sheriff's office than you're going to get, say, from the Dallas PD. I can say it's increasing. One of the reasons it's increasing is when the Monmouth Municipal Court, closed down, we took in all their numbers. So that's an increasing number of DUIs, for example. So it has been steady. Basically, off the top of my head, I can get you that number. But what's more consistent for me is that the number of intake has remained steady for the last 6 months from all of our agencies. You'll see, and I kept looking at it saying, what trend could I look at that? Because 1 month for one agency will be way up, and it's not the same month. It's not even a spring, summer, or winter type of thing, but that's what we've been tracking to see what trend we can find. I think that you see things from the statistics, for example, that are significant, like DUIs, drug deals. When we don't have a DRE available, we don't have as many drug DUIs, but then we get a DRE available, the drug DUIs pop up, obviously. But we look at trying to see how many we consistently run with each deputy, and about 100 consistently for misdemeanors, for example, is a lot. But that doesn't even take into account the number of PVs that people have, probation violations that people are handling, for example, that adds on top of it. Doesn't even count the number of juvenile, for example. So that's not a direct answer, but I can get to you, but I think it doesn't always belie what we're doing.
So of the number of cases that you are presented, what percentage is it that you are prosecuting? I know it's a lot higher now than what it used to be. I think the public I've had questions on that.
How many referrals? I have to get you a number on that. Which cases do we, of the referrals?
80%, 85%?
I'd say 75%.
And I know there's all kind of reasons you don't, but that was one of the questions that we asked is how we're doing as far as prosecuting what we can and presented from all of our jurisdictions in the county. That's a fair number.
Good question. We're approaching budget time. And I appreciate you mentioning taxpayer investment in our public safety system, particularly your office. This might be a kind of a granular question, but one issue we're hearing throughout the state are the discovery costs that are ballooning for our DA's offices and looking at ways to offset those costs and redistribute them more appropriately. Are you seeing a spike in Polk County over the last several years in those discovery costs? And that might be a question for our budget officer too, but if you don't know offhand, I won't worry about it as but
I don't necessarily track the discovery costs. What I have seen is that our licensing costs have gone up. Our case management system, that has significantly gone up. And so our sort of our base cost for discovery has gone up. Things that change are, you know, we don't charge for per page the way we used to. But our base licensing fees have increased. And that's just the cost of doing business.
You touched on this just a little bit, but I want to reemphasize what we've been talking about for several years, and that is the challenge with the public defender pool, what that looks like and how that challenges you with your staff, both on pay and skill sets. So I just want to make certain that the public knows some of what you're facing. Glad to hear that you feel like you have a healthy team at this point in time, but the public defender portion of your world does impact how your team performs and how you pay them, or how much that they expect you to pay them. So can you give the public a quick snapshot on what that world looks like?
Well, we fortunately don't lose people to the public defender world. Our competition is other counties that pay more for essentially the same work that we do. We compete to nearby counties. One of the great things, well, not so great, but one of the challenges is that you can, live very well in Polk County. Polk County is a beautiful place to live. Unfortunately, you can drive very quickly, commute to other counties that pay quite a bit more. Marion County pays more, Benton County pays more, the Department of Justice pays significantly more. And obviously, if you really want to make a commute, Washington County pays a lot more, and even Columbia County pays quite a bit more. So we compete with those offices. We do a really, really good job in training people extremely well. So I guess it's a backward compliment that they're extremely competitive if they want to test the market. So that is the fact. The reverse is not true. We're not able to attract people from the defense side, the public defender side or the private defender side to come work for us. You hear much in the press about the comparability between public defenders and prosecutors' salary. I can assure you there's no public defender that we work with that wants to take a DDA1 salary here because it's not even close. Those comparables are between Multnomah County prosecutors, DOJ prosecutors, and so it's not realistic. So we don't compete. That is not where our competition is. The conversation, though, in terms of, and I say this, is that if there's going to be real help to equalize salaries among DDAs, it's going to have to come from the legislature because I know that some of the challenges that our county faces are probably faced in an even more significant way by smaller counties, Lake County, Umatilla, or smaller Bern, Baker County, places like that. So, but that's where the conversation is about what we do about the public defender situation. There's not a lot of conversation happening about what we do to equalize prosecutor salaries. So I'd finish by saying the public safety crisis is statewide, and equality of justice has to come from both well-paid, sufficiently compensated prosecutors and adequately paid public defenders doing their job. So the conversation is only one-sided. I would say at a local level, that's the competition I see on a day-to-day basis. My colleague counties.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, next up is a financial support request for NREC. And Mr. Hanson, you're going to lead this off?
Yeah, I think in your packet is an email that I received requesting funds for the upcoming year for NREC. Last year, I believe we paid $20,000. The request for this year is either, $23,000 at this time. And looking at overall revenues and expenses and that, I would recommend that we maintain the 20,000. However, I believe there are people here that may want to talk about that or not. But that would be my recommendation at this time. And if you remember, we used to pay for a long period of time, $12,000. We significantly increased that last year to make it $20,000. So we can stay at that level for a while, is my opinion.
Sam, you want to make a pitch to us? You don't need your sidekick?
I didn't turn you off. Morning.
Morning.
Good to see you. My name is Simon Gima. I work for OSU Extension. And right now I'm the interim director for North Willamette Research and Extension Center. With these acronyms, NREC, sometimes confused. But this is a hub that was established in 1980s by the commissioners in the 6 counties surrounding the center to pool extension research and extension specialists to do research at the same time do extension work that benefits the farmers in the counties that contribute to this station. Our budget right now for employees is about $1.3 million from OSU. And we're very lucky, actually, for the first time, we have all our 11 employees hired. I'm interim director until June 15. We had a new director who starts at that time, and we have hired a Christmas tree specialist who started in December 1, which has been vacant for a while. We also hired the Intermountain research trials for the vegetables, the special seed that we have, special crops, and the later Rendon starts March 1st. So we have a berry crops program, nursery program, tree fruits. Actually, I'm happy to report that the advisory council recommended to release the new variety for hazelnuts that has 1 gene resistance, but in 2025, in this year. And it's about 2 years out for the multi-gene release of the hazelnut variety. So we're doing well. If you're planted hazelnuts right now, the best, of course, you have is to spray against the Eastern field blight disease. Vegetables, we have autonomous kind of AI control machines that we had last year. We have 1 year data. And this year we are also trying to, when you are spraying nowadays, you can use a tractor or you can use a droid or unmanned aerial vehicle. And we are seeing the comparison between the two, that is this effective, is this not effective? There is agrivoltaics, there's solar panels on the farm. We have data now for 2 years. But the one distinct thing we are seeing is about soil health. So the soil health under these panels is amazingly different. We didn't expect it. Actually, it's a surprise that it changes very quickly than the one you incorporate manure and other things over time. So that's another thing we are looking at. Irrigation sensing is another thing we're implementing. We have deep wells over there that are long-term. There will be about 60, 80 years of data being mined. They are operational from last year, September. So we are also looking at the water table, sensing how you apply that water to the crops, different crops, as you know, here in the Valley. Small farm program, also helping small farms succeed. So we have about 11 programs that are fully staffed and they're hungry for research. And it's one reason I did request that if you can increase the funding, it's being put to good use. I see that if all these people, we support the infrastructure that supports all the programs, then one program we'll be able to give more to the farmers of this county as well as the valley. Given the things that we have said are going on, I'm really optimistic. We are also asking the other counties to increase. It's not only Polk. Polk, you have been very good supporters, and thank you for last year's increase. It really helped us with, there was vehicle theft. We have a fence. We have cameras now in place. So when you leave, all the vehicles are fenced up there. You have really to cut 3 types of fences to get them now, when there was 0 fence. We have camera systems. We have irrigation cold storage. We are putting a new cold storage for the berry program. So flash freezing has not been done. We have been cooling these berries when they go in. We want to see what the difference is and what the qualities are when the berries are kind of flash frozen. We have a new building coming up. Actually, I'm excited. When we go for harvest dinner, we might be in a building this time and get out of the rain. Adona's graciously given us a building, and it will be done by June. It doesn't have windows, but there's a roof on top. So that's exciting. So there are so many exciting things about this jewel we have here in North Willamette. If you are able to, I will really appreciate the funds, but whatever you give us, we still put it to good use. I just want to tell you, I'm not throwing away the money. We are really investing it. And there's that research was done, I think it was 2014, it's been a while, but it was like $1 you invest, we actually bring $10 back worth of economic development. And I think that's why we're asking your Council for Economic Development to post this one. So that's my spiel. Any questions?
Good.
Appreciate the presentation and support this program in your department tremendously. It's a huge value. I appreciate that your costs are going up just like everybody else's.
Unfortunately.
And I'm at this point fairly comfortable with our roughly 65% increase from last year. I don't know how you all feel about it, but I kind of want to see how the other obligations in our economic development fund are looking as well. You know, there's potential risk with our SEDCOR business retention person who gets funded federal grant and things like that. So I'm kind of reticent at this point to promise any increases, especially as we haven't seen the budget yet. But I'm comfortable with the status quo, 20,000 for sure. I'm just a little reticent to consider an increase at this point. That could change, of course.
Yeah, by the way, we're releasing kiwi berry and strawberry varieties this year. Then we just lost our USDA person who is the berry breeder from USDA ARS. They came in September last year, so they were on probationary. So we're releasing new varieties and we don't have a continuation, but we'll just hold it and see how far we.
So you're losing a USDA.
The USDA person who was the breeder, yeah, because we don't do the breeding really. We do collaboration. But we just hope they can reverse it, because I had some news yesterday, they might, but that would be one of them we'll later ask to come back. It's really huge for Pacific Northwest. Do that, yeah. No, it's good, you know, that this is a good investment for our constituents. And we are here in a time to answer any questions. And we really value North Willamette. By the way, the dean put the station to be the first one to have an all-over Wi-Fi covered research station on the 160 acres. So by August of this year, it will all be covered. So we're going more into innovation and AI. So we can actually be ahead. We have been behind for too long. Like this is time we got ahead. So the investments there are great. And I think people are appreciating that this is a jewel we have over there.
Another question, has OSU increased their allotment to the
Yes.
program?
Yes.
Do you know by roughly how much from last year to?
So the way it works is when we have all these salary increases, of course, we do it right away. I mean, we take care of it. The station does not.
Mhm.
So that comes with the ROIC employees. So we don't even count that. But what we have increased are the services and supplies. That has been 15% over the last two years. Yeah. And this year we're actually increasing. So that was 15%. We are adding another 100,000 to that S&S on top with the new director coming in. That was one of the agreements. just to make it more functional. So we are also, we see the potential for that. Yeah.
Hi, Sam.
Hey.
So as the person here who sits on the advisory committee for NREC, you have heard me multiple times talk about the finances of the center. And of course, I know more than just about anybody else in here, except you, about what's happened over the years with the funding. And there's been all kinds of challenges. And you and Sean have done a great job of trying to get it all sorted out, back together again. And to Dean Semenich as well, trying to sort it out. And I appreciate how hard her job is. But I have stated before at advisory, and I think I've stated it here and to you, I'd like to see a little bit more financial accountability for our contribution. I don't know that we've ever seen an itemized budget or explanation of expenses. This comes up often with me, has since I've been on this advisory committee, about we have 7 counties that are supposed to be contributing.
Supposed to, yes, supposed.
7 counties, and I continue to harp on this. It's not your fault, but I'm going to continue to make an issue of this, that the rest of the counties that are that all their agriculture is getting a benefit from this work aren't seeing the same level of need. And so that's very frustrating to me. And again, I'll pick on Multnomah County again, getting direct benefit with the Food Innovation Center and small farm operations that they have. And they're all of their different food entities that they do. They get a direct benefit from this center, and we can't seem to get them. And I've said before, I don't mind, they can send me a letter if they want. I don't mind shaming them. I find this to be sad that they don't make this contribution. But the fact is, I've never seen an itemized list accepted in a closed door meeting at the center. And I think it's fair that the contributors, the counties that are contributing, get to see an actual itemized budget. So, I mean, we're partners as we're being asked to help fund this. And even though the amount may be small by comparison to all of the grant dollars and what the administration at the university puts in, I think it's still fair to consider that we are partners and that we're entitled to see what's happening and ask questions about those numbers. So I know your job, and I get that you're the person chosen to come here and ask for more, and I appreciate I've said it to you. You need to show up.
And I should bring that itemized budget in our May meeting,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you have seen it. We are a public organization. It's not hidden.
Yeah.
But you are right. We should bring it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it should be listing who the contributors are.
Yes.
Where does the revenue come from, et cetera. I think that's important. And that way, at least we have an opportunity to talk to some of our peers in other counties about the reality here, but without documentation, without seeing the numbers, it's just rhetorical for us. I too support where we are when my budget officer says, I think you better stay where you are and, not put in more. I mean, we are at the precipice of seeing, just like the university, changes in revenues. And so we probably need to tighten up just a little bit here. So, but I think in order for us to consider what is likely coming next year, another increase, we probably should get on board with seeing the math.
Sure. Would ask.
Yeah. But thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Always good to talk about NREC. There's so much to talk about. Elsewhere, you feel like they don't talk, but.
A great place to visit too.
Thank you. Okay, I will see you guys in September.
Thank
And
you.
this might be for you, Craig.
Mhm.
Is Multnomah the only county that you know of? That's, okay,
Multnomah has never contributed.
okay.
Nor does it contribute to anything in extension.
Yeah.
So it just is, NREC isn't the only thing.
Yeah.
But for the center where we rely on 7 counties to make some contribution, it helps. I know that there are a couple of other counties that have gone the other direction in their contribution, which is unfortunate. And especially with their counties that are way richer than we are and have taxing districts, in fact. So,
Just to mention, we did make $500,000 request to the commissioners.
Good.
to OSU. So
Yeah.
we are also.
That's the other thing that's changing per my nudging here is that you can't keep asking staff. That's not gonna work. You have to go right to the Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
So this is an action item.
I make a motion that we hold it to $20,000 per year for interaction.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to forward $20,000 for this next year. All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed unanimously. Thank you. Do we have any non-listed items?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Guys will have to move and we'll have conference.
Oh.
Oh.